Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of The Power of Using Your Voice and Being Seen. I'm here today with a couple more of the authors of the upcoming book, Legacy Lineage Speaks. It's Lineage Speaks. The upcoming book, Lineage Speaks, on January 21st. So welcome, ladies. I'm so grateful that you're here and we can laugh about me saying the wrong book title. So grateful for all of you, and these conversations over the last couple of days have just been really fun, and it's been beautiful to hear about some of our journeys to feeling safe to be seen, to feel safe to use our voices. So I'd love for us just to kind of go around, do some simple introductions, starting with you, Andrea. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you wrote in the book Lineage Speaks.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited just to expand with you. My name is Andrea Blindt, and my business is Growing Miracles with Andrea. And for me, I wrote about my voice as a woman and just the stories that were passed down to me in my life, where we were taught to be seen and not heard. And we were told to give our power away to others, those in power, doctors, the government, authority figures, and really navigating that in my own life and my own health story, but then also really claiming my power back when my son received a diagnosis that I just didn't agree with the outcome. And so my story is about standing up, reclaiming that power, and doing it with grace, because there's a way to use your power with love and compassion and not anger or accusations, because doctors and those who we gave our power to, they believe that they're doing the best. And so how can I really hold on to my power and approach this from a place of love that is soft and honors me, but also doesn't shame them where they are?
Oof. Thank you. Yeah, it was so beautiful to read all of the chapters, but because of my own health issues, I really resonated with, what you wrote about and reclaiming our power. And thank you for reminding us to do it in a very loving and graceful way. Super helpful. Ashley, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Ashley Abramson, and I am a mentor for dynamic leaders. My business is called The Unicorn Effect, and my chapter was a letter to my father, because he is the biggest inspiration, and his soul lives on in me and is why I'm doing what I'm doing today. He suffered significantly from mental health, and society really put their lenses of what that meant on him. But he was the happiest person I had ever met, and truly understood what feeling joy and just pure bliss. Money wasn't something he focused on, external things. He did whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and just enjoyed life. He committed suicide when I was 18 years old. That really caused me to lock up my most authentic self. And I did that for years until I went through a really awful divorce and lost everything that I had created happiness out of, the house, the family, the cars, all of that, those things that were not meant to be forever. And that was when I was faced with the choice to find my way back home to that girl that just enjoyed life like her father did. And that's when my journey started. And now I work with other people to help walk them on that path back to their authentic self.
Yeah, so well said. And I think so many people can relate to that story of putting all of our eggs in these external, things, the house, the job, the career, the relationship of what we're supposed to be doing. So thank you, Ashley. So grateful. Heather, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you wrote about?
Sure. So I'm Heather Robinson. I'm a guide for mother wound healing and conscious evolution. And I basically help people navigate those inner child wounds that came from our first relationships, our mother, our father, and how they impact us today in today's world. And my chapter in this book was about my own journey through that. Not specifically my mother wound, but more so my father wound, and how that really became illuminated in my relationship with my son's father and that whole experience, and kind of how that healing process has looked and how it's unfolded in my son's first couple of years of life, and the relationship with his father and my dad, you know, parallel, not not at all intertwined or anything, but it's just really diving deep into that vulnerability of that story, that reality, that process, and how that can look for some people.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Heather. It was such a beautiful read, and I really appreciate you for going deeper in this story and really sharing parts of yourself that I know that you haven't shared before. So just thank you. So I'd love to ask the three of you when you really knew it was like time for you to start sharing. Because I remember for myself, there was so much of this like identity issue for me. It was like I had this old self who is not the spiritual person, not the one who is talking about these deep topics. So there's a little bit of a death that had to happen for me to be like, okay, I'm about to go forward talking about things I probably never talked about, and people are probably going to think, what the hell is she talking about? So I'd love to hear from all of you when you really knew it was time for you to step up, and what helped you really use your voice when you knew it was time. Andrea, let's start with you.
Okay, so I have always wanted to just write a book and use my voice to help others. And I originally set out to write a solo book in 2019. And then the pandemic happened and brought my 4 kids home. So it was a little bit more challenging, but that was a divine pause in my story, because I still had so much healing to do that I didn't think I needed. You know, I felt so great and I felt very ready to share that story. But now, 2 years later, I see how much has evolved in my life and in my own healing journey. And the story now comes from a place of so much love and compassion for every single player involved, where in the past, there was still some of that hurt, and that was threading through in my writing. And I didn't know it then. So when I was approached to play a role in this book, it just felt really good in my body. I felt happy. I could feel the way I was writing on paper, that it was lighter and purposeful, and it came out with light. And that is what I want to bring into the world. I want to bring that light and that potential to have both, to have balance, because we can have hurt, but we can also have that beautiful love, and they can exist together. And so when you created this opportunity, I jumped in, and you made it so seamless to succeed. You know, you set us up for success, and I'm so grateful for that. And so now is the time.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's so interesting how sometimes the seed is planted, but other things have to happen, or we have to go through some healing for us to truly, you know, be in that space of, okay, it's time. Great reminder. Ashley, what about you?
So I as well have always felt like writing a book. I remember it was, I think, my freshman year in college, we had to do like a futuristic what our life is going to look like. And I projected I was going to write a memoir of making lemonade from lemons, because I had been through so much. And then fast forward 15 years almost after that, my divorce was really that pivotal piece. I completely fell apart. I see the phoenix when I imagine it, like I was completely in the ashes and only one little ember existed and came out of that. And so in the work I've been doing, I think I really started posting on social media and felt the same way you were talking, Bridget, like, oh, these people are gonna be like, who is this girl, right? Like, I didn't talk like this before. Like, who is this? So that's really where sharing my story started. And I think when this book was presented to me by a very dear friend, she was like, you have to write a chapter in this book. And it also is the 20-year anniversary since my father committed suicide this past November. So it just all aligned. And so this book, actually, this chapter is really my raw heart. It's literally like a letter. It's a letter to my father. I wrote it as an exact letter to my father, not thinking about other people reading. So not filtering through that judgment or anything else. And I really did it for my own healing. And that I was listening to reading Big Magic, and she talked about her most powerful book was Eat, Pray, Love, which she had no purpose of really even publishing that book. And it became this huge thing because it was for her healing. And it was cool. I listened to that right before I wrote my chapter. And that's when it switched. I reached out to you, Bridget, and said, hey, I want to do this. And you're like, you do you, girl. But so it's been a really powerful piece of my healing, like a kind of a final, like, here's what the timeline has looked like, Dad, and I'm okay, and you're okay, and we're doing this together. So yeah, that was kind of my trajectory. And I feel like if anybody's asking themselves, is this the time for me to use my voice? Then it's the time. Like, if you have to ask that question, then you're probably already past the time. So let's get on it.
So true. And gosh, I love that book, Big Magic. It is just such an inspirational read. Like, thank you for reminding me. I think I got to go back to it. So good. So good. Heather, what about you?
It's interesting. I've never wanted to be a writer. I never thought that I would be published or share my story in that way. I've always shared my voice and my journey openly and vulnerably on social media. And it wasn't until this experience and the journey through everything with my son's father that I really like closed up. And I think when this book came out, I didn't know why I needed to be on it, but I just knew I did. And basically all of my projects with you and Legacy Speaks and Lineage Speaks were very much guided, right? I wasn't thinking about doing them. And I did what I was guided to do. And so when I was guided to do this, and I had more of a voice of what it was that I do to help other people, and I was moving through all of this stuff in the midst of it, I was like, okay, I guess that's the story and that's what I'm going to share. And that was really utterly terrifying. And I think that's how that's when it's time, that it's terrifying, but it's also within your capacity. And it didn't feel like it was out of bounds for me anymore. It felt like, oh, okay, I have a clear vision of what I'm doing here. It's just really scary. So I guess now's the time.
I feel that so much. I feel like there's so many things I've said yes to in my life where I don't really understand why until I'm like smack dab in the middle of it. And then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. So yeah, absolutely. So with this topic of using our voice and being seen, I always like relate it to a way of almost feeling really naked, because sometimes what we're sharing is like very intimate and we didn't ever plan to share it with the world also, right? So being this person who uses social media as a microphone to share our story, like there's this parts of ourselves, I think sometimes we want to like hold ourselves and kind of run away. So I'm curious for you all. Community has been a big piece of this for me to help me feel like, okay, I'm not alone and there are other people supporting me and doing something similar. But what has really helped you feel safe? There's this word of safety, I think, with this. What has helped you feel safe to be seen? And Heather, we're going to start with you and change it up.
Sure. I think what really helped me to feel safe was knowing that I was guided to share it and that I wouldn't be guided astray in a way that would be harmful or unsafe. And so that helped me to kind of lean into that safety. I had a very real fear of sharing anything about my story with his father, simply for like the safety of my kid. And that was a very real, deep, raw, overpowering fear that kept me closed up. And as things sort of unfolded and I, went about my way on the journey and of not co-parenting and custody and all of those things, I started to realize that like all of the fear was construed and made up in my head in order to have power over me. And it wasn't anything that was real. And that's why my guides were sharing with me and pushing me to, write in this book and share this story and go through this right at that time so that I had that story to share, because it was safe, it was time. And so I was doing a lot of healing work at the same time that was really helping me to just like feel safe in my body through the whole healing process, but really just trust that I wouldn't be guided to do something that was really detrimental.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding us, like, it's okay to feel scared and in it, but also that trust of knowing, yeah, we wouldn't be guided here. We wouldn't be brought into these containers if it wasn't the right path for us. So, yeah. Ashley, what about you?
So I really resonate with that as well. I just felt that this was meant to be a part of the journey. I was super scared, of course, because there's things in my letter that everybody has their own interpretation of how people were and how life occurred. So I'm sharing things that many other people were a part of, but it's my perspective. And I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I didn't want to come off as ungrateful or anything like that. And I just really had to almost go to a different place when I was writing it, and just really think that this is just going to my dad. And I'll be honest, like, I got the physical copy yesterday and I was kind of like a little bit. And recently I've been kind of running from it. And I know I shared that in our group. And I think that's been such a huge part. Like, writing a book with you, Bridget, it's not like writing a book, I don't think. I mean, I feel like when I venture out to write my own book, I'm going to have to find the community, and people aren't going to be doing the same thing. Like, we were all on this journey together, and there's constant messages going back and forth. And, you know, even if you disappear for a while, like I did, where I think I was just not really wanting to face the facts that this is going out to the world soon. When I came back, I was welcomed by, you know, everyone with such love and just honor. And I really feel that with the launch now and it actually going out, it was easier for me to just like write it, right? Because you're kind of like, it's getting written, but like, we're not going to think about it being launched. But now that it's being launched, the community has been huge, and just leaning on them and feeling safe to share your fears and safe to, like, they understand. We all understand each other is 100% what it is.
Yeah, like, this is messy, right? And it's allowed to be. It's allowed to be. So, yeah, I feel that too. Andrea, what about for you?
So similar to you ladies, I really felt like this was my community. It was such a gift to me to have you brave women for me to lean on when I was nervous, or just, you know, feeling those old stories come up for me of, eek, are people going to question the story? So often, I think when we talk about miraculous healings, there's so many questions around it, and people just don't believe it because they're not able to see those miracles in their own lives. And so for me, that safety came from really looking at my house, looking at myself, and looking at my son who's thriving, who's laughing and talking and walking, and that doctor said wouldn't be able to do any of those things. And so as much as that fear came up inside of me, it was an old story for me, an old place of limited possibilities, and thinking that the world would believe the same, because so many live in that place of not being able to even consider that miraculous healing can happen. And so that's really how I pushed through and reclaimed that safe feeling. I did tapping on my chest frequently as I was typing. I would do it 3 times and I would just say, I'm safe to share this story. I'm safe to share this story. My children are living proof that healing can occur.
Whew. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So something I've always been intrigued with is this idea of the ripple effect through work in the world. And I think this concept of lineage is another one of those ways that this plays out, right? Through our children, or if we don't have children, through what we birth into the world, you know, whether it's a book or whether it's just the work that we're doing. And most of us who found ourselves here are doing some sort of healing work, whether it's coming back to your authentic self, healing your relationship with the inner child, literally healing the physical body. So I'd love to hear from you all. What does the ripple effect mean for you? Andrea, let's start with you.
Ooh, so for me, the ripple effect is so exciting because it really means that more healing and more light can take place in this world, that people can be inspired to stand up and to hold on to that hope and to allow that hope to expand in their lives. And as it expands for them, they will be a mirror that other people get to watch. And as they are seen in their own family and in society, people will shape and shift with them. And so it's so exciting for me to see the potential of what this book can do in the world. And I love teaching people. I love empowering them, because when you know, you continue to do it and just shine brighter.
So well put. Ashley, what about you?
Well, I feel like she just summed it all up. Like, it was such a beautiful explanation of what I feel the ripple effect is as well. So I mirror that. And I'd also just like to add, I think right now we're in an era, a golden era, where the ripple effect has the ability to be so much stronger, and the ability to change the collective in a much faster, larger way than ever before. And I think, you know, in the ripple effect, one person turns into 7 billion very quickly. And that, I think, is just the beauty of it. And I always try to follow the statement of leaving every place, person, and thing that I come in contact with better than when I found it. So even if that's as small as picking up a piece of trash or straightening the front, you know, doorsteps or doormats on people's doorstep in my apartment building, or just smiling at someone. And I think that right there is the smallest, purest form of the ripple effect. And I just think it's beautiful. Like, I live my life by the ripple effect. I think, like, we are so much more powerful than we believe. And we can really change the world by just changing one person.
Mic drop. Yes. Yes. I feel the same. I'm the one who will smile at all the random strangers with people with a frown on the face. I'm like, absolutely. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, a lot of the same, but I also feel like it's really such powerful work when you're really looking into the lineage, that you're also rippling through time, and you're rippling into the past and all of your ancestors and everyone that came before you, as well as all of everyone that's going to come after you. So everything in the here and now, in the present of the 7 billion on the earth, but also all of their before and afters, which is really, really just incredible.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Woo, amazing. So for the three of you, with, you know, this book about to come out, with your story about to be heard and read, and all the beautiful things that will come out of this, what is your biggest hope for what your story will do for someone else? Heather, let's start with you.
I think it's just like giving permission and the invitation to really dive into the deeper work. It does sometimes feel really overwhelming, maybe scary, sometimes really dark or painful, but that sort of transmuting of our stories and rewriting them and changing how things turn out for ourselves is really empowering. And so I think it's a really important part of anyone's journey, right, in life. So just don't be afraid to do it. It is safe to do it. And there's many of us here who have done it in many different ways, in many different approaches and aspects. So yeah, I think it's just safety and empowerment to go ahead and do the thing that's hard and scary.
Yeah. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
So I have a lot, but I would say one of the biggest is that it really opens people's eyes to see how the constructs of society can greatly impact what a life looks like here. And that someone, when they read it, is able to see that being free and being you is what's meant to be. Like I always say, I'm here to disrupt and to show everyone that they're meant to be their most magical unicorn self. And the reason why I say that is because the unicorn is this magical, mystical creature we're meant to only dream of, but we can never see. And as we grow up, society, our parents, everything we interact with teaches us that your most authentic self is meant to be locked up. It's not meant to be seen. You're meant to fit in with society. And in turn, we get depressed and unhappy and don't feel a sense of fulfillment. And that's why I'm like, no, like I want everyone on this earth to be walking around as their most authentic self, no matter what anybody else thinks of them, living in their purpose, in their passion, and just fully enjoying the journey, which I think has been so far lost along the way. And I think that's why this book is great too, is lineage, because along the way we've lost it somewhere. Instead, it's about the destination. The focus is so much, and I want to bring people back to the journey and just enjoying every freaking second we're here. But you can only do that if you fully step in and heal yourself so that you can become your most authentic self again. Shed all the shit that was put on you.
Shed the shit. This is amazing. Andrea, what about you?
For me, I hope that my story really inspires people to reclaim their power, to not settle for less, to believe in that unicorn potential, that anything in the world is possible, and to just love yourself enough to find a community, to find a doctor or medical group who's willing to support you and journey with you, to not feel bad if something's not working right now, to see it as the gift that it was in your life while it was there, give it thanks for the role it played, and then to bravely look forward, dreaming the dream that you deserve and creating the path that will take you there. That's my hope that this story will do.
And so it is. And so it is. Well, this has been so much fun. I literally have fun doing this. So thank you. And what I love about like conversations like this, it's like you all brought something to the table that maybe I hadn't seen before. And I'm sure the same for, all of us. It's like, wow, that person's perspective is opening my eyes. It's broadening my horizons. So that's really the hope with this book, right? We're coming together as a community, sharing our perspectives, our journeys, our experiences, and just opening our eyes, right? With love and compassion and grace for the experience that we've had on this planet. So grateful. I hope that everyone who's watching this video can go individually check out the work that these women are doing, because it's absolutely fantastic. And I feel so grateful to know you all. And I hope also that everyone here will grab their copy of Lineage Speaks on January 21st. We just had a meeting yesterday with the founder of LMU Girls, which is where the proceeds of this book are going to. And Cindy Rodriguez, if you are watching this or you ever see this, I love you so much. And you are an angel on this planet. So thank you for sharing your story with us. And it was just absolutely so impactful to know that this work is going to something really, really beautiful. And it's impacting people's lives. So ripple effect right there. Big thank you to everyone. Thank you for using your voice, and thank the three of you for just being here. Love you all. See you later. See you tomorrow.